You need to see this.
It is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Kevin Rendleman is about to perform a suplex on Fedor Emelianenko.
I honestly thought we saw the first death in MMA because Kevin threw him on his head so hard.
He's too big to the head now.
I thought he was taking a breather, and when I went to move, he realized, turned me over.
Oh, here we go.
He is absolutely in the same categories of the Wayne Gretzky's, the Michael Jordans, the John Elways.
And yet the only one doomed to be forgotten.
You're the greatest fighter to never fight in the UFC.
That's, to me, the biggest regret of all of MMA.
It is a shame. Fedor could have been over in the UFC and we could have got the best fighting the best.
I would have given anything to see that.
The crazy Russians know this. You know the real story and what the truth is.
Fedor Emelianenko is the baddest man on the planet.
The baddest
man on the planet.
If that's so, why did he never make it to the UFC?
And you knew I was going to bring up this man's name, Dana White. He says recently he flew to an undisclosed island to meet with you and your team.
I flew to some island out in the middle of nowhere, okay? Did everything that they asked to do.
What exactly happened on that island?
We made him the offer and he's like, laughing at the offer?
Is it true the UFC actually offered you $5 million guaranteed?
No, this is not true.
I say everything exactly how it happened.
The UFC didn't want me to fight there.
I want it worse than the fans want it now, believe me.
I think they wanted you.
We went there for nothing because those guys literally went there to not make a deal.
Now, from the UFC's perspective, Fedor never faced real competition.
But how can you give him the respect when he hasn't fought the guys? I mean, these guys are fighting 3 times a year, the best fighters in the world, but you're going to give him the respect?
The UFC is the biggest organization in MMA, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're not a UFC champion, even if you are elite, even if you're fantastic, there's always going to be that thing that's attached to you that you never fought in the UFC.
But back in the early 2000s, the best of the best were not in the UFC.
Actually, when I fought in Pride, we had the best fighters in the world.
He was so good, dude. He was so scary and so stoic, and he could submit you or he could knock you out, and god damn, he was good.
Out of his 13 opponents in Pride, 9 were former or future UFC fighters. Amongst them, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, who became a UFC champion after Fedor beat him twice. Former UFC champ Mark Coleman, who fought in the UFC before and after facing Fedor. Fedor also beat him twice.
In all of Fedor's fights, when he grabs a hold of a limb, he almost always finishes the submission. And when someone grabs a hold of his limb, he almost always escapes.
Former UFC champion Kevin Rendleman. You've seen that one already.
Fedor find I need best result. I wait some failed champions.
MMA legend Mirko Cro Cop, who fought in the UFC after losing to Fedor in one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. And by the way, Fedor was only 6 foot tall, 230 pounds. That's relatively small for a heavyweight fighter. Another Russian fighter was also wreaking havoc in Pride. He was known as the Grim Reaper. He also happened to be Fedor's brother, Aleksander. But his destiny would be drastically different.
Your brother Aleksander seems to be the complete opposite of you. He's cocky, he's arrogant in interviews, very outspoken. He's had run-ins with the law, covered in tattoos. How did 2 brothers, same parents, same surroundings, grow up completely different?
I think every little boy during his childhood in Russia dreams about becoming strong.
But in Fedor's case, that was not gonna happen.
Даже чуть не умер в больнице. Вот. Но потом его лечили, поднимали иммунную систему. И он после 3 лет...
Did you come from a very loving home? Did your parents show you a lot of affection, or were they more harder, disciplinary parents?
There was discipline, but everything was done based on love. Whereas for my younger brothers, Aleksander, it was not as strict.
We came from a poor family. There were 4 children in our family, so we only ate potatoes.
And because his parents worked a lot, Fedor took care of his brother.
I followed his footsteps. He used to take me with him to the gym.
Initially, I was not getting a lot of results. I'm not all that talented, let's say.
Федор, уступая по
физическим кондициям многим детям.
Маленький, щупленький, худенький, но глаза горели.
At 18 years old, Fedor chooses to join the army.
Every young man should be able to stand up, not only for himself, but also for his family and for his country.
Развивался физически, то есть я пришел уже, не молодым мальчиком, к которому ходил, а уже молодым, скажем так, мужчиной.
The army allowed me to live without parents' guardianship and to live with a stern group of men. That's why it only hardened me.
Как раз у нас Чечня была, я сильно переживала, конечно.
I served for 2 years. For the first, I served at a fire station, and the second year at the tank division.
Пожарники. Очень тяжело ребятам там служить. Выезжают молодые ребята на пожары, где обугленные люди. Очень тяжело, конечно, было.
And while Fedor is gone, Alex chooses another path. He gets involved in street fights, crime, and for reasons undisclosed to this day, ends up serving a prison sentence as a teenager.
Я не совершал того, за что меня там посадили, ту кучу статей, которых понапридумывали мне.
He comes out of prison with those tattoos. Now, those aren't your average kind of tattoos.
Раньше носили татуировки тоже, горы такой.
Under Joseph Stalin, millions of people were sent to forced labor camps, known as gulags. Within those prison camps, an organized criminal group emerged and evolved over generations, the Thieves in Law.
It has evolved into an autonomous organization with its own set of laws and customs, dedicated to perfecting the life lived under the shadow of the law.
These real criminals were the elites of the camp, often sporting specific tattoos related to Russian orthodoxy and culture, and terrorizing other inmates.
Конечно, человек можно понять, конечно, по татуировке, кто там, допустим.
The stars in front of the shoulders, they mean you're a criminal authority.
В основном, что можно по татуировкам определить? Прежде всего, наличие судимостей.
The symbol of a cathedral indicate the number of years spent in prison. Each dome represents 1 year. Alex Cathedral has 5 domes.
True or false, you once tried to help your brother Alex break out of prison?
No, I never tried, and I don't try. I always tried to help Alexander. But if he does something wrong, he needs to take responsibility.
The Thieves in Law swear to their own set of laws, including the duty to support criminal ideas and the rejection of any form of labor.
Did you ever find it hard at that time to stay away from that criminal element that was so prevalent in Russia and I guess so attractive to so many fighters at the time?
Even during hard times in Russia, never looked in the direction of crime. I was always enticed only by the sports.
So while Fedor starts training with fellow soldiers in the army, Alex starts doing the same in prison, both training from the same goal, under drastically different ideals.
Еще находил время для занятий, то есть дополнительно сам занимался штангой, которым подтягивался, скажем так, физическим. Развивался физически. Скажем, в армии креп духом и развивался физически. То есть я пришел уже человек, который работает, он постепенно перерастет талантливый. У меня нет ни ценной матери, законом, по воровскому закону живу, не могу жить. Семейные планы – растить детей, чтобы семья моя жила в достатке, поддерживать родителей. Планы спортивные – продолжать дальше выступать.
Узнает жена Оксана. Где бы он ни был, первый телефонный звонок ей. Видеозаписи боев они просматривают вместе.
Я все время опасаюсь каких-то травм. Все равно я так побаиваюсь, но он меня убеждает с каждыми новыми соревнованиями, что он может, что он справится.
Мы считаем, что Федор, самый сильный и будет постоянно выигрывать. С него надо брать пример. Да. Были бы все такие у нас.
Такой уравновешенный, такой спокойный. Вообще он
Даже нет слов сказать про него. Мы его так любим, такой простой.
Считает себя, то есть как не ставит себя выше других, всегда на одном уровне.
In 2007, Pride collapses. That's when Dana White enters the picture.
We went out and we made them a crazy offer to come into the UFC and prove that he was the best in the world. And they turned it down.
Дану Уайту надо сначала научиться уважать людей, с которыми он собирается работать. Уважать бойцов.
Nobody in their right mind would have turned that deal down.
Деньги — это далеко не самое важное в жизни, что...
Instead, Fedor joins a new MMA promotion called Affliction. He defeats two former UFC champions, Tim Sylvia and Andrei Arlovsky.
Affliction trilogy has been canceled.
After only 2 events, Affliction shuts down.
I'm at a point now where I'm just so sick of talking about this guy because they make me so crazy.
He is usually rude with the fighters. If not respect, he doesn't want to fight.
I talk some smack about them, they talk some smack about me. It doesn't mean that we can't get deals done.
And by the time he went to Strikeforce, he was already, miles on the odometer. I just don't think he was the same guy.
That's when things take a dark turn.
I said, you're 1 punch away from being worth 0. It's hitting that dude now, right? They lay in bed and they turn the lights off and they just go, what do we do? We should have taken that deal.
Alex is accused of kidnapping and sexually assaulting a housekeeper. He is sentenced to 4 years of prison. In 2016, the fighting promotion of Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov puts on a fight involving children. Fedor is appalled and calls out the organization. A week later, as she's walking back from school, Fedor's daughter gets brutally attacked. She ends up in the hospital. Kadyrov then releases a statement claiming to be certain that Fedor realized his mistake. Alec comes out of prison 2 years before the end of his sentence and signs with Kadyrov's promotion.
А для меня сегодняшний день Александр мертв. Понимаете? Он пропадает. Но я молюсь, чтобы он ожил и нашелся.
В каких случаях мужчину можно считать героем?
Героем? Мужчину можно считать героем.
Раньше все-таки не прославиться, а обращали внимание на добрые дела. Героями были те, кто делал добро какое-то.
But what would you like for your legacy to be, Fedor, in the sport? When people talk about you in 30, 40 years.
How do you want to be remembered?
Сам Александр Емельяненко.
Я ненавижу. Слышь, ты тварь, ты ебучий.
Строить карьеру, не строить легенды, быть легендами. Я об этом совершенно не думаю. Ну, а запомнить, наверное, нормальным человеком, обычным человеком.
Do you think his legacy was tarnished for the fact that he never made it here to the UFC?
I don't want to on the guy. He's retiring tonight and all that stuff. But I never was one of the guys that thought he was one of the greatest of all time.
Я счастлива, что сын, цель, которую поставил в начале своей жизни, очень рада, что он к людям относится хорошо.
В начале его рождения, появления на свет, как мужчины. Он маленький, но уже с детства герой. Другое дело, как он себя дальше в жизни преподнесет. Использует те качества, которые даны ему от рождения, или...
У меня наследие ассоциируется с тем, что, наверное, то, что останется после меня, сделано за мою жизнь. Доброе воспоминание, надеюсь.
Dana White was never able to sign Fedor, but that didn't stop him from creating the biggest MMA empire in the world. In this video right here, I covered the controversial but genius strategies he used to get there. Make sure you check it out. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.